What's up, everybody? Justin here, and it's time once again for a Lake St. Clair fishing report. So I know it's been a few weeks since I put one of these out, but you know, have to go up north, do a little fishing, and I have to do my day job as well. And well, just got done mowing the lawn. Me and the wife are gonna go down to downtown Detroit tonight, enjoy a nice evening. But I thought I would go ahead and get a fishing report out for you guys this week really quick. So let's dive into this week's report. So we finally got past this heat wave. We have some actually really comfortable summer temps going on right now. Overall, though, the lake is sitting at 72 to 76 degrees on the surface, depending on where you're at throughout the lake. So what that means is a lot of these fish are definitely in their summer patterns finally. Water levels do continue to be fairly high all over the lake, so keep that in mind if you are working near shore areas, to be conscious of what your wake is doing out here on the lake. So for you guys chasing bluegill and crappie, not a lot of guys are doing it, but I have heard some good reports up around Harson's Island. Those fishing from shore have been doing well. I know a lot of the marinas don't get a lot of attention in the summertime because of all the boating traffic, but some of them do produce fairly well. I would congregate most of my time on the deeper water, focus on the weed beds that are in some of these marinas. Not all the marinas kill off the weeds on the lake, so there is some pads in a few of them, and that can hold some really nice fish this time of the year. So I would search out those, and any of the marinas that have a lot more wood in them, you know, wood pilings on the docks, those tend to be really, really good in the summer months as well. For you guys chasing yellow perch, you're going to want to focus most of your time along the shipping channel, basically starting at buoy 27, 28, and working your way all the way down to the dumping grounds. Now, just because I told you the shipping channel doesn't mean you need to work the actual channel banks. Don't be afraid to come up on the flats just off the channel banks where those cabbage beds are and look for schools of yellow perch there. You might be pleasantly surprised what you find just off those edges. And also another thing, if the edges aren't working, don't be afraid to fish directly underneath those very large buoys. A lot of those have big, huge concrete blocks underneath them, and they tend to be a fish magnet at certain times of the year. And I have done very well fishing certain ones here out on the lake. So don't be afraid to try fishing tight to those green and red buoys, the big ones, not the small ones. Now, you guys that are chasing esox, muskie, northern pike, northern pike fishing has been pretty steady, pretty good for the most part, but the muskie fishing has been a little bit slow just because of the heat of the summer. So if you are targeting muskie, be conscious of reviving those fish, taking time boat side before starting to cast for that next one. Make sure that fish is revived very, very well. Leave the fish in the net bag next to the boat while you get things together to measure it, and also take the hooks out, and also to snag yourself that pitcher. Make sure she stays in the water as much as possible. For you guys chasing walleye, it sounds like from the reports that things have slowed down, but honestly, I think guys are burnt out. They have a lot of walleye in their freezer, and they're starting to switch to other things, and that's why we're starting to hear some yellow perch reports out here on the lake. Guys have just started to change gears a little bit, look for some different things. So still, the river's been really, really good. Trolling along the shipping channel and down in the dumping grounds has been really good, but there is still some good action right off of Metro and about 16 to 18 feet of water. If you remember, what was it, about 5 years ago, there was a really big school of walleye straight off the point of Metro, and there's a lot of smallmouth in that area too, and it looks like that's happening again. So you might want to check some of those areas from 4 or 5 years ago when we were fishing 18 to 20 foot of water. Those areas are having some fish show up in it. Now, this is going to be an unusual one. I don't normally talk about this too much, and I'm going to talk about catfish. If you're one of those guys that's looking for channel cats, Lake St. Clair in the summertime can be an absolutely dynamite place to do some unique styles of catfishing. One area in particular is out along the shipping channel and out by the horseshoe in the Walpole area. Go out there with stink bait, liver, cut bait, drag it along on the bottom, just drift along. You might be surprised at some of those big kitty cats you can get in those areas. Now, say you don't want to be out in the lake and you got a smaller boat. Head on up into the St. Clair River. I know particularly around the Harson's Island Ferry, where a lot of guys sturgeon fish, there is a lot of channel catfish to be had in that area as well. And a lot of them are over that 10-pound mark. So they are going to be a lot of fun in that heavy, heavy current. Just keep in mind, don't anchor in the middle of the day with all the boating traffic. It's just not safe. I would probably focus that more on the dawn and dusk time when boating traffic is at its lowest, so you can stay safe. You don't have to worry about somebody running over you. Last but not least is what you usually come here to watch for, is the smallmouth bass report. Smallmouth are in their summer pattern. There is still fish near the shallows, but they tend to be your smaller, 10 to 14 inch, males, young, 4 or 5 year old fish that haven't really got much size on them. There is some fish near shore in a few areas, but most people are finding the better fish in 14 to 16 foot in the US waters, and then out in 18 on the Canadian side. Lures of choice this time of the year. Historically, it's of late, spy baits, drop shot, tube. Spy bait, drop shot, tube. Rinse and repeat, same thing. A Ned rig in the last 2 years has become really, really popular. It's a little harder to find Ned heads that are heavy, but there is some tungsten ones that have showed up. Lifted Jigs has a really nice EWG Ned head that comes in up to 3/16. So on those calmer days, you can fish it out deep. Just fish on medium light rod, light line, have a good time. Now, something that came to light for me just recently, and I have got to try it, is my good buddy Benjamin Nowak, who is also a YouTuber, was recently down here with Alex Rudd fishing out here on Lake St. Clair. And he was actually dragging a wobblehead jig or wobblehead hook with a creature or a craw bait on the back of it. And what he was doing was literally making long casts and treating it like a crankbait and just reeling it along the bottom so that wobblehead's just kicking around. So he did have a little bit of a hookup ratio issue from time to time, but he was getting some really, really nice fish. So this time of the year, a lot of those crayfish out deep start to show up. So maybe that might be a different way to present some soft plastics these guys, where normally you would crack a tube, but instead of doing that, you can drag a wobblehead through with a creature bait or a crawl trailer on, and maybe you can have some success do it. I'm gonna go give it a try here shortly, hopefully, as long as work doesn't get in the way. So that's something that I picked up from him that might help you catch a few fish out here on Lake St. Clair. If you want to see that video, I'll go ahead and link it down below in the description so you can check that out. It was really neat. It's a different way of approaching smallmouth out here. Another thing that's fairly new to the area is the Alpha spin bait. The Alpha spin bait is from Duo Realis. It's a 72 millimeter half-ounce spin bait. It's different in the sense that it's not necessarily your ultra finesse. It's a little more of an aggressive swim bait or spin bait, in my opinion. Duo may disagree with that, but I think it's a little more aggressive. It's a little more power fishing-esque, but you still have to fish it slow. But just has a little more aggressive yaw or wobble to it. You can fish on anywhere from 8 to 15 pound test, so it's a little bit, if you're not really keen on fishing that ultra light line, go ahead and throw it on 12-pound test. Or even braid. It might just enjoy fishing the Alpha. The other thing about the Alpha, as you can see right up here, is its profile matches the hatch really well. It matches the shape of, say, a golden shiner or a spot tail, or what it really, really matches perfectly are those small little 3-inch perch that everything out here feeds on. It does a great job of mimicking that, and I think the Alpha will have a very good place and home out here on Lake St. Clair. So if you haven't tried that out, go to the local stores or tackle warehouse, wherever you like to buy your tackle, pick a couple up, give it a try. You fish it very similarly to how you do normal spy bait. Just cast it out, count it down, and a good steady retrieve. But it's a little more forgiving speed-wise, so you can go a little bit faster. And with a 1/2 ounce, it gets down fast and it casts well on a bait casting setup. So that opens it up to being a little bit more accessible to guys that aren't those ultra finessey kind of fishermen. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in to this week's report. I do apologize that I didn't get a chance to do one over the last few weeks, but I was enjoying myself up north and also getting some work done. But this is what's been going on here on Lake St. Clair. Just wanted to give you guys a quick heads up because we are in the summer months and things have changed. We are now in a summer pattern. So I figured I could at least do that for you guys. Do appreciate everybody that tunes in the channel. If you haven't watched any of the recent videos, go ahead, check them out. I got some videos from up in northern Michigan. I got some SLX DC videos, SLX DC versus Corrado DC videos. Just some cool content that's come up on the channel that may appeal to you other than just a fishing report. So go ahead and check that out. And as always, thank you for tuning in. Tight lines, happy casting, and we'll see you in the next video.
The Lake St. Clair Fishing Report is brought to you by Rose Marine.
Got him. GoPro, start recording. Another nice one.